So it finally formed. Tropical Storm Alex is here. And even though I was going to rename the potential Tropical Cyclone 1 video, it's been a while. So I decided to make a new one. So this is the Tropical Storm Alex coverage by In-Depth Weather. So starting off here with the National Hurricane Center page, Tropical Storm Alex currently has maximum sustained winds of 65 miles an hour, minimum central pressure of 991 millibars, and is moving east-northeast at 28 miles an hour. Let's start off here with our warnings and cone. We have tropical storm warnings in Bermuda, as this is expected to remain a tropical storm through Monday afternoon before becoming a post-tropical cyclone on Tuesday. With our forecast track line on, you can see here that the expected center is to remain north of Bermuda, but it could get very close if it takes the southernmost track of the cone. Of course, the cone is not the overall impact, but rather the tracks that the eye of the storm could make. We see our current wind extent is very large, especially on that southeastern quadrant at tropical storm force. So here's our arrival time of winds with wind speed probabilities turned on, and you can see that Bermuda here has a 70 to 80% chance of tropical storm force winds, with earliest onset time of Sunday at 8 p.m. or Monday at 2 a.m., somewhere in that range. You can see the largest extent is that 100% chance, which goes to 2 a.m. on Monday, and eventually with time, of course, this will go further down and down in probability, as of course we can't predict perfectly out 5 days, but we do try. So let's take a look at the key messages for this storm. Alex is forecast to pass near or just north of Bermuda on Monday, and tropical storm conditions are expected on the island late tonight and Monday. So let's move on here to the current satellite imagery. Let's refresh here just to make sure that we got the most recent image. And you can see that we now have that defined center with thunderstorm convection just to the north and east of that center. So let's go over our current storm information using both Tropical Tidbits and Weather Nerds. Starting off with our global and hurricane models, you can see here that most of them have that consistent gradual movement to the east-northeast. Then once we get north and east of the 60 degrees west parallel, we could see some models taking it a little bit further toward an eastward movement, and some taking it more toward a northeastward movement towards Iceland and the UK. So here is the GEFS track, which shows the median here as that slight curvature to the east, and then once it gets to the about 50 degrees west mark, it starts to turn more toward the northeast. And the GEPS is just showing a straight shoot off to the east-northeast. Now we have the European ensemble, which is showing the storm taking that slight curvature to the east, and then at around 55 degrees west, taking a sharp turn towards the north. And here is the intensity guidance for Alex, which has some models showing this becoming close to a Category 1 hurricane, but most starting to see it decline after the next 24 to 36 hours. And some even have it dipping back below tropical storm threshold here by 60 to 96 hours. Here is the GFS model, and we're going to use the 12Z run for both of these here. So let's start off with the GFS here, as we have the current system right off the coast of Florida, and as it continues to move off, we can see that it kind of remains isolated, those thunderstorms to the north, which is a good news for Bermuda, as it will stay to the south of this storm, and eventually the storm system weakens off here by Tuesday. And the European model is fairly similar, with those thunderstorms staying toward the northern side of the storm. Now the European model has a little bit more toward the eastern side of the storm, which means that Bermuda could see a little bit more rainfall, and that low pressure being stronger and a little bit further to the south means that the winds could be higher on the Bermuda mainland. So let's take a look here at our winds. So Passing Bermuda, the GFS has about 35 to 40 mile an hour sustained winds, but right now the peak winds are right around, of course, that's 65. And here is the European model, and as it passes by Bermuda, we could see even up to 50 mile an hour sustained winds according to the European model. Finally, let's take a look at our total accumulated precipitation as this storm moves off the coast here. Well, it continues to move off the coast, of course. Now, the GFS is showing much more rain to the north here, maybe even up to 6 inches of rainfall north of Bermuda. But the European model has less overall rainfall, but Bermuda itself being in that ½ inch to 2 inch range, and the higher end of that range as well. Whereas the GFS barely even has this, bringing a ½ inch of rainfall to Bermuda, which is, if that plays out that way, is a good sign for Bermuda. But if it plays out this way, we could see a little bit more of a flood risk. The last thing I want to look at is our significant wave height. Now, as this storm passes by Bermuda, we could see waves and swells between 15 and 20 feet. And as this storm moves past, let's see if the European model agrees here. Approximately the same, maybe a little bit more, maybe close to that 21 to 22 foot range, that 20 to 22 foot range. So we could see waves very high, and of course Bermuda is not a huge island, which means that we could see some onshore flooding, especially with that rain on top of it. We could see some damages there on the island. Now, Bermuda is no stranger to tropical cyclones. They've been through it in the past before, so make sure you have your plan in place for a flooding event, and stay safe and listen to your local news networks for anything that you could do to prepare for the storm. As I always say, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. It is the best way to stay safe with any sort of severe weather. But that is all the information that I have for today. If you found this video informative and useful, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell. But that is all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.